Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Russ Riesinger. Janelle has the night off. An early evening garage fire put crews to work for nearly 2 hours tonight in Billings. That call to 820 Aurora Drive came in shortly before 7 o'clock. A leaking fuel tank from a pickup truck inside that attached garage made the fight to put that fire out difficult. The garage and the house sustained significant damage, we're told, and the siding on the house next door was also damaged. No injuries are reported. There is no word on a cause or a damage estimate at this point. Well, the ban to stop the sale of flavored vaping products across the state has met a roadblock tonight. This after a state district judge in Hamilton temporarily blocked the governor's ban set to go into effect next week. Instead, that judge set an October 30th hearing on whether to make her order permanent while she decides whether Governor Bullock's order is legal. Now, the ruling today came in a lawsuit filed by 3 vape shop owners and their trade association, which are asking to have the ban overturned. The lawsuit says if the ban on flavored vaping products takes effect, it will put them out of business. But Governor Bullock says he's relying on the advice of healthcare professionals in issuing that ban.
It's been so stressful for going on a month now from, the misinformation that the, media and everybody has been putting out there. It's been very stressful. And so this is kind of, we're coming to the head for the end of it, I'm hoping. That we can just prove our point in a court of law and move on from there.
If he can take away our rights, our freedoms, and our liberties with the stroke of a pen here, like this, who's next? And he's doing this as governor, running for president.
Well, so far, Montana's had 3 reported cases of vaping-related illnesses, and earlier this week, officials reported the first death here. A 10-year-old lawsuit alleging that the FBI is not adequately investigating crimes against Native Americans on Montana Indian reservations is finally going to trial. Yesterday, U.S. District Judge Sam Haddon denied the request of the FBI to dismiss that suit. The judge said too many disputed facts still exist in the case, so it will proceed to a trial before him. The lawsuit was brought by the Billings family of Stephen Bear Crane, who was fatally shot on the Crow Indian Reservation in 2005. They say the FBI accepted the killer's explanation that he acted in self-defense and didn't properly investigate Bear Crane's death. A lawyer for the family says they are pleased to finally get a public hearing on it. The parties will have a pre-trial conference on November 1st when the judge will set the schedule for that trial. Well, the man who murdered the nephew of Senator Jon Tester back in September of 2016 with a sword will spend the rest of his life behind bars. John Radovich was found guilty of first-degree aggravated murder in August for the death of Robert Tester. Robert's 8-year-old daughter was also home during that brutal murder but was unharmed. Radovich had accused Tester of assaulting and raping a 17-year-old girl. The man who escaped a week ago from a Jefferson County jail has been taken into custody in Lake County. Torrey Gee had been on the run since escaping from the Jefferson County Detention Center last Friday. Gee was found hiding in an outbuilding near Charlo and then tried to run across a field when he was apprehended by U.S. Marshals. Gee's also suspected of stealing at least 3 vehicles, including a Department of Transportation truck, while on the run in Jefferson, Madison, and Beaverhead counties. A Wyoming man sentenced to time behind bars and hundreds of thousands of dollars in fines in a horrific poaching case. KROE Radio in Sheridan reports that Greg Lambden will spend 9 months in jail and was also ordered to pay $254,000 in fines. Investigators say they found 113 deer carcasses on Lambden's property west of Sheridan in late 2018 with no evidence that any of the meat had been harvested. Investigators say they believe Lambden killed the animals, which included bucks, does, and fawns, because they were infringing on his solitude on his property. Lambden pleaded guilty to 9 felonies and 2 misdemeanors in August. Lambden will also serve 1 year of supervised probation after finishing his time behind bars. Well, decades of negotiations have come to an end in Butte, and a final agreement on the Superfund consent decree has been reached. For 30 years, officials have been working on a plan to clean up mine waste there. For the past several years, that process has been a seemingly endless series of meetings and negotiations, but now it's time to get back to work, removing buried mine waste along Silver Bow and Blacktail Creeks adding sediment basin for stormwater runoff and other improvements as well. That work will take 5 to 7 years to complete, and then Butte will no longer be a Superfund site.
We have an obligation to take care of this remedy in the forever, and we had to make sure that the resources were going to be available in forever. We've been quibbling about details for far too long, and it's time to get back to work.
The finalized decree won't be made public for at least another month until the Department of Justice has a chance to review it. Well, Halloween was something the PB Moss family enjoyed, and tonight the celebration started at the Moss Mansion.
Orientation is right this way.
Moss Mansion staff and volunteers put on the costumes to create the haunted house. The theme this year is a mental hospital, and those on the tour are new employees at the asylum. A labyrinth maze in the yard is also a part of the festivities. The mansion serves as a great stage for frightening Halloween fun.
It's the best. I mean, really, it already comes with some mystery of being haunted. The Mosses loved Halloween. There wasn't trick-or-treating, but there was tricking. We have journal entries and diary entries, letters that talk about some of the tricks that they played on their neighbors, and so they really got into the spirit of the holiday.
The Asylum Horror Theater and the outdoor maze will run from 6:30 in the evening until 9 o'clock tomorrow, then the following Friday and Saturday as well, and on Halloween. All right, let's turn to our weather now. Ed, we have a bit of a change coming our way. Hopefully nothing too scary.
That's for sure. Yeah, we had 70s and warm temperatures yesterday. And then we started to see more wind today. In fact, a lot of those wind gusts were hitting 40, 50 miles per hour in Livingston today, and very strong winds down the east slopes of the Rockies as well. So getting into the weekend, maybe you're thinking about trying to get out there and take care of some of that yard work. Tomorrow overall looks like the best day, even though we're looking at a chance of showers by later in the day. Most of the day will be with light winds and dry conditions. We start to pick up some showers on Sunday, and the winds pick up a bit as well. So you could either try to perhaps wait a little bit and take advantage of that winds, hoping that perhaps they blow them into the neighbor's yard, or take care of business tomorrow. In the meantime, we'll have a look at that short-term forecast coming up in a few minutes, all the way through the next week.
All right. Thank you, Ed. Well, history was made today with the first all-female spacewalk. The astronauts are performing repairs outside the International Space Station, each of them in suits that fit them. Lisa Mateo reports.
I'm right beneath your feet, so don't move down. Copy.
There was some polite maneuvering up in space as astronauts Christina Cook and Jessica Meir made their way outside the International Space Station to replace a battery. Meir walked hand over hand. Cook hitched a ride on a robotic arm.
I think we're ready for the badge swap if you guys want to lead us through that.
For the first time in history, 2 female astronauts are spacewalking together.
Certainly women have walked in space before, 15 in fact, 14 of those NASA astronauts. But this is the first time it's been all women, and that's generated a lot of excitement.
The first all-female spacewalk was supposed to happen back in March with Cook and astronaut Anne McLean. But only one medium-sized torso spacesuit was available, so both women could not participate. Since then, NASA designed a more one-size-fits-all spacesuit, making way for Friday's historic spacewalk.
Do you hear me?
President Trump spoke directly to the astronauts as they were finishing up their work, some 260 miles above the Earth.
We can hear you.
That's great.
This is really just us doing our job. At the same time, we recognize that it is a historic achievement, and we do, of course, want to give credit to all of those that came before us.
And they're hopeful there will be many more all-female spacewalks to come. Lisa Mateo, CBS News, New York.
Well, astronaut Christina Cook is 7 months into an 11th-month space flight that will be the longest by a woman. She currently lives here in Montana, in Livingston, when she's not up in space. Coming up on your 10 o'clock news on this Friday, we talk to a woman who fought and won her toughest battle, and now she has words of wisdom for everyone. And later in sports, West tries to stay perfect with a huge game looming next week. Highlights from Dallas on the way.
You're watching MTN News with Janelle Slade and Russ Riesinger. Storm Tracker weather with Bob McGuire. And sports with Scott Breen. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.